Hey everyone, and welcome to the Sober Truth Podcast. I would like to thank you for tuning in and invite you to check out the Sober Truth Project YouTube page for content on recovery, life, and faith. On the show with us today is one of the most accomplished men I personally have had the opportunity to ever meet. He has worked for the DEA and has been a master sergeant in the military. He is the current CEO of Chief Empowerment Network, empowering over 9,000 youth and young adults to develop emotional strength and live exceptional lives. Welcome to the show, Rod Cunningham.
All right, everyone. We're here with a good friend of mine, Rod Cunningham. Rod is a super successful man. He's done all kinds of amazing work throughout his life, and I'm just really excited to have him here. We met a couple years ago when we were both working with the faith leaders community, where it involved different faith leaders from different faiths and also people from, secular side of things, whether it was teachers or doctors, counselors, and tried to figure out a better way to approach the opiate academic. What's the word I'm looking for here, people?
Opioid addiction.
There we go. See, he's so good, man. Here has clear voice, too. He's got a radio voice and a TV face. It's not fair, man. I got neither. So anyways, here we are, and I'm just really excited to be sitting here and talking to Rod. He's a consummate professional, and I'm really excited to hear what he has to say. So, Rod, welcome.
Well, thank you. Well, nice introduction. I didn't know I was all of those things, so that was wonderful to hear. And I'm not even dead, so that's good.
That is good. That is good.
Give me a couple of flowers while I'm still living. I
all
appreciate
right,
that.
all right. It's been a wild year and a half with COVID and everything.
Yes.
What's been going on with you over the last year and a half?
Oh, wow. This time period has really been interesting, being locked in the home. My wife and I are very COVID conscious. We kind of, stay away from areas that may infect us in any kind of way. So we very COVID conscious. So it just forced me to work a lot from the computer at the house in my home office. And I was finishing up my contract with the DEA. So I had a good year at home on that DEA contract. It was a 2-year contract as the opioid misuse prevention expert for the state of Florida for the DEA. And so after doing that for a year, then it was time to go ahead and reignite my business because I was running my business before the DEA called. They called. 2 years doing that. Now it's time to refocus on my business. So me being a motivational speaker, me selling my books to school districts. School districts weren't listening right now. Right. They were worried about COVID in the kids more than their mental health. So I was a little on hold with the school district as they figured things out. No one was hiring speakers, so I had to go back to my goal sheet. I'm the type of person that writes out all their goals and vision boards and all of those things, and to get my mind right every morning. So I had to go back to my goal, and one of my goals was to, as a life coach, was to coach men who had setbacks, right? And how to and walking them through, making better decisions for their life after that setback.
Right.
A lot of people don't really understand coaching versus therapy. Therapists helps you deal with your past. Coaches help you craft a better future. And so I want my clients to go to therapy.
Sure.
Right, so I want you to in your therapist. So now when you're out, okay, now you've dealt with daddy, you've dealt with mama, you've dealt with the trauma, you've dealt with, divorce, you've dealt with all of those things. So now let's point you in, how do we get that business started? How do we, go back and apologize to the people we've hurt over the years?
Right.
How do we formulate that conversation where we're not hurt or triggered again in our apology? So just teaching men to re-look at how they communicate with their children, especially their grown children, right? How they communicate with their ex-wife or their wife or what their family. So it's all about legacy, faith, family, finances, and fitness. How to find balance in it all. So that's why I relaunched earlier this year the coaching business, and it's going very well. I get most of my clients from Facebook. Actually, I do Facebook marketing, so I have clients nationwide.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that. So this is kind of like, well, I mean, I knew about your coaching and everything. I thought you worked more with children.
I do.
But I think now you're crossing over into like kind of what I do with you're working with men, helping to put their lives back together. And wow, it's super interesting. And I like that. We'll have to talk more about that. I wanted to talk about the DEA real quick. Okay. I got a funny Rod story. So Rod worked for the Drug Enforcement Agency
Administration.
And I loved saying that because people would be like, oh, and I'm like, he's not an agent, but it sounds super cool. However, I did get an agent experience because of my relationship with Rod once. We had a meeting at the DEA, headquarters or whatever you call it here locally. And we were about halfway through the meeting, and I don't remember if a buzzer went off or something went off, but Rod's like, hold on, everybody, and jumps up and runs out the room and then comes back in the room, and he's like, okay, we all have to exit the building single file from the back of the room. And we're in this meeting, and it's like other pastors and doctors, and we think he's joking, and we're like, yeah. He goes, no, this is part of being in the DEA building. Sometimes we have to get out of here so people don't know who they are. And I'm like, oh, you're serious? And he's like, yes, I'm very serious. And we had to be escorted out of the building.
Yes. There were probably about 15 agents who were about to make a bust.
Yeah.
And so they had to come into the conference room and lay out their entries and exits for the bust and so on and so forth. And no one can see who they are because they are agents. Think about it. The DEA doesn't have uniforms.
Right.
So I was the only DEA face that people knew because you don't know. Because DEA agents, they wear flip-flops and tank tops and mohawks, and they're out in the community buying drugs every day.
Right.
That's their job, is to buy drugs. They literally have a casino type casino type cage area where they issue DEA agents $5,000, $10,000 to go actually to make a buy. Right.
That's crazy. It's like, this is what did they like, did you get to know some of them, or did you have to stay away from them as well?
No, they wanted me to know them. They put me in the middle of all of the agents. Now, I'm the community guy, right?
Right.
I don't believe in that everybody's guilty and they're animals and you got to lock them up. I don't believe in that at all. I'm like, people are human beings who, they make poor choices sometime, and, no, and so we had a total different look at life and people, but I had to let them know that that's why you brought me in.
Right.
Had you put an agent to do what I'm doing, they would be freaking the community out.
They would scare the daylights out of the people. Now, it's funny. I just keep imagining you in the middle of these agents. Now, luckily, you're a big dude and, in shape, and you got a long military experience. So I don't think people were picking on you. But if they put the wrong person in there, I just could see some serious disrespect to the guy that, couldn't be out there in the wild world they were in.
They didn't quite understand what I did. Until we had this big, huge youth summit, and they were helping with the youth summit. And so when they saw 550, 600 youth and then another 200 adults.
Right.
And they are like, oh, this is what Rod's been working on. This is why he's here. We had this huge event, 4 different sheriff's offices, 4 different school boards, superintendents, all in one building from different counties. Once we were able to pull that off, the agents were like,
oh,
and they were like, hey Rod, so I was like a little rock star for a little bit in the building.
I totally get it. They're skeptical. They're literally in war every day with, their lives are at stake every day. So some,
if they're not buying drugs, they're actually building cases on people. So they not only have to go out and buy the drugs, but they have to come back and build the case. They don't have a detective sitting back waiting on the case to get in their hands so that they can start to working on it. They're working, to try to make it a federal case to get them, so many years in jail. They gotta really, lock that down. They're listening to people's phone calls, the cell phone calls. They're looking at your Cash App. I'm telling all the secrets there.
Okay, this show's gonna get shut down. They're gonna come kicking in the door in a minute. So,
they're listening. They're looking at everything. If you literally know a drug dealer and you call that drug dealer, they're now tracking your phone.
Uh-oh.
And because they need to see if you may be the head guy. They don't know.
Just for the record, as a pastor who works in the inner city, I am friends with some drug dealers. So DEA, please do not arrest me. I am simply trying to get them to change their lives, not to continue the way they are going.
There you go.
That's interesting to know. I seriously have to.
They listen to your conversations.
Oh boy,
they know.
They know.
Yeah.
What do you think? What was your big takeaway? You did not know a lot about drugs going into that position.
That's correct.
You're just an excellent public speaker and a good person for that position.
And researcher. Right?
And researcher. But what'd you learn?
Wow. So I learned so much about synthetic fentanyl. Mm-hmm. I learned a lot about overdoses in the community. Working with you guys and the other pastors. I really got into the whole recovery community that I didn't know anything about. Right. I knew about Alcoholics Anonymous. Yeah. That was about it. Right. Yeah. And so then I enter here and I enter into this whole new world and I'm looking around and I'm like, wow, okay. So now I'm looking for some kind of mental health because I'm already in mental health. So I'm looking for the link between the mental health and the misuse of substance misuse, right? So I'm looking for that link, and so I'm steady looking and listening, and as I hear people who are in recovery talk about their stories, and I'm going, and one thing that you taught me, and that I've been using for years now, is about white knuckling it because you don't have a spiritual connection. Yeah. Right? The difference between someone who has a spiritual connection, they have faith, they're spiritually led, and they're in recovery. Right. They have a total different spirit. Yeah. Right. Total different viewpoint on their recovery than the person who like, man, I don't believe in God. The church, turned their back on me. I'm turning my back on them, and so on and so forth. But I'm not going to use today, and I'm not going to use tomorrow. And they're just really just gritting their teeth, trying to get through it day by day, versus saying, in Him, I'm good. Yeah. Right. I'm going to make it through, and I'm not going to use today, and I'm not going to use tomorrow. Yeah. So that was something that I picked up from you that I talk about a lot.
That's awesome. I'm glad I was of some use in that area. I really wanted to touch on your military. You served in the military for a lot of years. You did a lot of really big things. Just kind of give me a brief synopsis of your time in the military.
Ooh, so I served 29 years in the Air Force.
He was in the Air Force longer than you've been alive, Cole. Wow.
So, I don't even know where to begin. I guess I would go back to my last 4 years. I was stationed in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I was what they call a Chief Master Sergeant, an E9. The the Army calls them Sergeant Majors. Mm-hmm. And so my job was to track the students who, first of all, they left basic training. Mm-hmm. Basic training is in San Antonio. And then they go to learn their jobs. They call it technical training. Mm-hmm. That's where you learn to be an air traffic controller or an IT person, an admin person. Whatever your job is going to be in the Air Force, you have to go to school for that. The school could be 6 weeks long or can be 2 years long, depending on your job. And so I was responsible for those students while they were in training. And after they finished their training and graduated, then they would go to their first base for the military. And so I was the disciplinary. So when
Oh.
the school, when the school would announce, or the person got in trouble, it would go to the instructor. The instructor send it to the school head of the school. And the head of the school will call me and say, "Okay, Chief, I got another one for you. They've either failed an exam, they stole from the BX, they missed curfew, or they underage drinking."
Wow.
And so those are the person that now they come into me. I have 5,000 students. They come to me, they sit in front of me, and I go, "What's going on?" Now I'm deciding now if I'm going to kick them out of the Air Force or let them stay in. And so what I found I'm a patterns guy, I can see patterns. And what I found was these folks who were failing, they were going through things, they had two things in common. They had parents who were divorced.
Yeah.
Because remember, I'm talking about 19 to 28-year-olds, mostly averaged around 21.
Yeah.
Parents had divorced, or somebody who had passed away who they really loved.
Yeah.
Grandma, mom, dad, sibling or something like that. And so that provided brain fog for them.
Yeah.
They were making poor choices. And so I was able to see that, and I go, okay. So my first year I ended up discharging 20 people. But the next 3 years I ended up doing about 7 people total.
Wow.
What I was doing was, after I heard their story, and then I asked certain questions to let me know, what it may be, I would send them to mental health clinic.
Wow.
For evaluation. And interesting enough, the African American kids were like, "No, I don't want counseling. Right. I'm fine. I don't. You're the only person I ever told. My mom and dad don't even know, about this or
it's
whatever."
Looked down upon in that community.
Right. So they're like, and then I would, show them some videos of people like Ray Lewis, who went through what he went through with his father, and so on and so forth. And then they go, "Okay, Chief, I'm gonna go." When I had a white kid in the room, I said, I want you to go to mental health counseling. Okay. No problem, no issue. They were marched right over to mental health counseling. But everyone who went to mental health never came back to see me. In other words, they never came back in trouble.
Right.
They got the test together. They didn't get in any more trouble. Sometimes I would go to their commander and say, "Ma'am, sir, we worked it out. They're going to be fine, so on and so forth. Let them stay. Let them stay," that kind of thing. And next thing you know, they're shipping off to their first base and doing their career thing. But I was hoping that them going to mental health counseling or to therapy would be their first introduction to something that they know they can go back to.
Yeah,
their
it's a
entire
lifelong
career.
pursuit of trying to find the wholeness that has eluded us for so long, right?
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. Now, what a place to learn about people. No, right? It's just, I'm with you on that. I'm exactly the same way. I just love to know about people. What is it that makes people tick? It started out because I wanted to know what made me tick and why I was the way I was. But now it's just so interesting to sit with people, and you do see patterns. Now, me dealing with hardcore drug use, it's always the same. It's a good mentor type person of mine says it like this: not all people that go through trauma become addicts, but every addict has went through trauma. And that is like, because trauma is not what happens to us, it's what happens inside of us because of what's happened to us. So it's like, you can't judge other people. I don't know if you've had trauma in your life,
right?
And some people, really on the outside, their life doesn't look like it. But when you get to the nuts and bolts of it all, there's trauma in there. And that will seriously change the way a person is able to, I like what you said, brain fog, make decisions that will alter the course of their life. But as a society, we don't understand it. So person gets kicked out of the Air Force for cheating on a test. We just think he's a major screw up. What he had a chance, man. And then that guy gets kicked out of the Air Force, and now that marks on his life. Where's he going to go from there?
He'll never forget that, right?
Right.
He'll never forget that.
Well, it confirms that false identity already that he believed anyways. You know, it's further confirmation that I'm worthless. It's further confirmation that I don't deserve to succeed. And he'll live that out.
And the interesting thing about the 7 people that did go home, they all decided to go home. No, Chief.
Wow.
I don't want this. I thought I did. I miss my family.
Okay.
I just want to go. Like, are you sure you want to do this? This is a major step. I just want to. So they literally failed on purpose, so they can come to me and then say, and then I would get them to tell me that they. And when they fail on purpose, they're supposed to be disciplined for that. And I'm just like, look, you want to go? Who am I to just sit here and just let you just sit around and you don't want to be here? If you don't want to be here, we're going to go ahead and get you out.
I have a guy. We have a guy that is actually in our ministry right now who he's been with us 90 days and his story. He's a younger guy, but he was kicked out of the military for underage drinking, and it's like one of the major things that he's trying to recover from. I can't believe I blew that. I really missed that. I had a purpose there. I had brothers there. I had this. I had that, and now he doesn't.
Right.
And he had issues going in, of course, but this just furthers that issue.
Exactly.
He really, really regrets what happened, but he just mentally wasn't stable enough to make the right decisions at that time.
And so then we would teach him how to do something even bigger. Yeah, because life isn't over. You still got another 60 years to figure this out, right?
Right.
So that was only the first 20.
Right.
So let's go with the next 60, man. Next 70 years.
Stop looking back. Let's look forward, right?
Exactly. We got 70 years for you to do something amazing. Let's do it.
That's what I say in our Bible studies when I get the men in there. I'm like, you can do so much.
Yes.
Now that you're sober, think about it. The whole world is open.
And that's where the coaching comes in, right? That's where coaches come in.
Yeah, it's helping a person see what they can do that they can't even see themselves.
Now that you're sober because you've been in this pain for 15, 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
Now you're out of it. Okay, now what do I do?
Now what do I do?
How do I soar? And that's what my second book is about.
Yeah.
It's about soaring.
I want to get to that, but before just a quick comment. What do you think about Afghanistan? I know that's probably I can't give a quick one there, George.
Well, I can give a quick one because I think our leadership failed.
Do you think it's just this leader or just leaders in general over the last 20 years?
I think our current leaders failed.
Gotcha.
Period.
I don't know anything about military, so I'll trust the military guy.
Here's why I think that, right? So they can't cancel me because I work for myself. They just can't buy. They just won't buy a book, right? So I'm like, I'm not a commander that they're going to relieve because, like they did the Marine commander for saying that. But I used to work for U.S. Central Command under David Petraeus, General Petraeus, and one of the areas that I worked in was plans. Military plans. The military or U.S. Central Command, specifically their area of expertise is Southwest Asia. Okay, if you go down to U.S. Southern Command, Southcom down in Miami, their area is Central America, right? So everybody has their areas. All these combatant commands have their areas of responsibility. You always hear about U.S. Central Command because it's over in Southwest Asia. So whenever something happens in their area of responsibility, there's a plan laid out.
Yeah.
Right. So what do I mean by that? The plan. So let's say that the Afghanistan president slaps the president of Iraq. There's a plan for that. Okay, if these two presidents of these countries get into an argument, a tiff, what's next? So they'll say, okay, Air Force, we're going to need 20 private. We're going to need 20 jets. We're going to need 20 jets out there. We're going to need 500 troops, airmen to go and do this to support those jets that we're going to, put out there in the area. Okay, the Army, we're going to need 2,000 people from there. We're going to need the Airborne Division. We're going to need this division. The Marines, they have a plan.
Yeah.
Laid out, and soon as something happens, that plan gets activated within 48 hours.
Right.
So I don't care if you're at home, just chilling because you're on leave. We've been recalled
Right.
Get back here because we're on our way, right? That's why we can mobilize very quickly.
Yeah.
And so there's a plan. I just don't understand what was the plan here.
What was the plan here?
It's just that simple.
Yeah.
There's a plan for everything in the military. So for them not to plan for that.
Unless this was the plan, it just was a very bad one. It could have been, it just...
This is probably the most bungled.
Oh, is
that the word?
I'm not even a military guy,
word,
but it's a word here.
So, okay, yeah.
It's a word here. Should we? Do you think we should still be there? Not forget the whole way it all went down. Do you think we should just be out of there anyways?
I think we should, because guess what? Whether we did this 10 years ago or 20 years later, they're gonna move right in.
Yeah.
Either way. So how long do we prolong it? What are we doing during the prolonging of it all? Mm-hmm. What's the purpose here? Right. So we moved out and they moved right in.
Right.
So we could did this 10 years ago.
Right, and save some money and not give them our military technology. So
right. Yeah.
See, I don't know anything about military, but I figure if I know somebody who does, I always try to ask them. And so you're one of the few people I know. I know a handful, and they all say about the same thing. One way or another, we needed to be out of there a long time ago. So a good friend of mine was actually a Navy SEAL, and he's like, you have no idea what it's like over there. Yeah. He'd spent, a lot of hardcore years, and he's just like, it's literally a whole nother world. And it's almost like when we look at the Bible, we have to take verses, into context, right? We have to think what's going on. He's like, it's literally like that. So our morals, values, the way we do things, you can't say what's going on in such and such a country because it doesn't abide by the things that we abide by. Mm-hmm. So therefore, you can't even make the comparison. It's just two different worlds. Literally, right? Not figuratively in this one. So let's talk about your books. Let's talk about, I don't know if we can see them, and if Cole can maybe focus in, but we got Climb, which was obviously the first one, Face Your Past and Own Your Future. And then Climb 2, Time to Soar. Now, this was for, like it says, young and young adult workbooks. Mm-hmm. Were they both for young and young adults? Yes.
So, yes, these books are for the 13-year-old in all of us.
Some of us are still 13.
Exactly. And I talk about that, right? The fact that, when you're married, you find out exactly how old your mate is when things get a little hairy or things get stressful. And then your husband is rolling around on the floor, or your wife is, screaming or crying in a corner. Yeah. Right? And you're like, oh, yeah, she looks like about 7 right now. And then as you peel back the onion, 7 was when her dad walked away. Yeah. And she no longer had security. Mm-hmm. And so emotionally, she's still 7, although physically she's 47. Yeah. So with some therapy and some coaching, we can grow her up to 47 so that her emotions matches her age. Yeah. But the books. So I guess the best thing to do is just give the 90-second commercial for the book. Okay, so if you take a 13-year-old boy who saw his father strike his mother, we call that trauma. Mm-hmm. If you take a 13-year-old girl who's been touched inappropriately by her uncle, we call that trauma. If neither one of them ever deal with that trauma, what kind of choices or decisions will they be making in their 20s and 30s? What do you think, George?
No, they're going to be making bad decisions.
Or decisions
based upon the events that happened.
Maybe they're dealing with some anger, some sadness, some anxiety, some depression, some fear. Maybe they're in and out of relationships. Maybe they're in and out of careers. But all of a sudden, at the age of 45, when they walk into a room, a light follows them in the room and everybody goes, oh my gosh, you look great. You look wonderful. What did you do? And you're like, I don't know. I mean, I got saved. I volunteered at my church. Yeah. Okay, what else? What did you do? What? I don't know. Mm-hmm. It took them 32 years to stumble across the 5 steps to emotional wellness. What if someone wrote a book? Yeah. A workbook, and focused that workbook on the 13-year-olds as soon as they were traumatized.
Yeah.
And they embrace all 5 steps by the age of 14. How different then would their decision making and choices be in their 20s, 30s, and beyond? So that's what the first book is about.
What are the 5 steps? Take us through them.
Oh, take you through the 5 steps?
You've taken me through them in the past, but this is for the people that are watching. And Rod, Rod's amazing. He's just got a way of speaking about things like he's definitely prepared. But take me through your 5 steps.
So the 5 steps. We'll start off with spirituality, and we're talking spirituality and not religion.
Sure.
Spirituality is your connection with God. It's important for us to understand who we are at the core. That is good. You know, and I also like to look at spirituality like there's an angel that sits on one shoulder and the devil that sits on the other.
Yep.
Whichever one you feed the most is what will come out of you.
Sure. So
if you're listening to explicit music, for instance, is that feeding the angel or the devil? And I always like to ask, especially the young folks. And they always go, the devil. Okay, you said it, I didn't. You said you feed the devil. If you're continually feeding the devil and you run into a highly stressful situation and you have to get quiet now to figure out what you're going to do, what voice do you think you're going to hear to tell you, to advise you that's coming in your head? Yeah. Move, get out the way, punch him in the nose, get out the way. So you're going to punch your way out of it.
Yeah.
Because that's all you know.
Yeah.
Nothing else is in you that says, here's a nicer way to do this, right? A more humane way to handle this situation. But now you start to balancing that. Okay, I'm not telling people they got to stop their music, right? We do the baby steps. Let's balance that. Let's now listen to some Christian music and things like that. Let's read, right? Read the Bible or what have you. Whatever your religious beliefs, there's a book. Read it. And so let's now start to feeding the angel. So now when you get highly stressful, you now know, first of all, to give it to God. As soon as you give it to God, your stress will come down.
Yeah.
Because you're like, okay, God, I'm giving this to you because this is no good for me. The stress is no good for me. I'm going to give it to you. Now that the stress has come down, now you're in a better headspace to make good choices, to fix the thing that is stressing you in the first place. And so now when you get quiet, now you can come up with good solutions for yourself. So that would be the spirituality. So then we'll move into forgiveness. This is the one that not only youth, but adults struggle with.
I'd say especially adults.
Yes.
They're hardened in their ways.
Yeah, Mr. Cunningham, you don't know what they did to me.
Yeah.
You just don't understand. And I always say, how is that working for you, holding on to it?
Yeah.
How often are you triggered? How often, I know we all have good days and bad days. Which one is winning for you? Good days or bad days? And so that means that you're constantly triggered by something someone did to you. I like to look at it as like there's these doors that are open in our minds looking for closure. And so we got 30 different doors open. The person who told us we weren't going to be anything, the mom or dad who walked out on the relationship, the person who left us, the person who cheated on us, the person who died on us, right? Think about all those things I said. None of those you could control.
Right.
So because you can control it, your brain is still seeking understanding, and so those doors are open.
Right.
And so now you have 30 doors open. You still hate that teacher. You still hate that ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. You still mad at your dad because he won't call you back. You still hurt because grandma died. All of these doors are open. You don't understand.
Yeah.
How in the world can you close 30 doors?
Right.
You have to forgive it all.
Yeah.
And then once you forgive it all the doors just start closing. All of a sudden you're walking a little lighter. Your head now gets a little clearer. It's not foggy anymore. And now you start making good choices for your life because you forgave all the other stuff. A friend of mine, Gary White, you know Gary, he likes to put that same scenario as a like a bucket.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard the bucket scenario.
You heard the bucket scenario?
I mean, you can explain it to other people, but yeah, I like the bucket scenario.
As things happen in your life, you know, your bucket starts to fill up. Your emotional bucket starts to fill up. So again, we'll go back to parental abandonment when your parents divorce, right? Your bucket starts to fill up because we all want to know two things from our biological parents. Do you love me unconditionally, and are you proud of me? So your bucket starts to fill up when they divorce. Then grandma passes away when you're 15. Bucket starts to filling up again. Then you get arrested by the police and thrown against the ground, and you got his foot in your back. So now you're traumatized. Bucket fills up again, and then the person that you trust the most, that you love, she breaks up with you and goes out with your best friend.
Not to laugh at all the people that's happened to.
Yes, because it happened to a lot of people, right? So now your bucket is overflowing, your emotional bucket. Now you're spilling that bucket on people that has nothing to do with all the 5 things I just named. They have nothing to do with it. And it's just spilling on them and spilling on your kids. Yeah. Mommy, give me a hug. Oh, you're getting on my nerve. Go sit down. Getting on my nerve. Mommy, I washed all the dishes. I did everything you asked. Can I just have a hug? Okay, come on. Give me a hug. Yeah. All right, go on. Right? We get frustrated with life. Yeah. Because we're carrying all this stuff, because our bucket is overflowing. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Now you want to follow them and shoot at them, and your bucket, you're cursing. You're cursing them out. You know, your bucket is overflowing. Yeah. You know, anytime somebody bumps into you at the club, you want to punch them in the face, your bucket is overflowing. Yeah. Right? You have to put spigots in that bucket. And those 5 steps to emotional wellness are 5 different spigots. Yeah. And some is going to let a lot of water out. Right. Some's going to let a little water out. Others going to let, and it depends on your personality, which spigot gushes the most. Right. Some people go to counseling and it just gushes. Other people go to counseling and go, oh, that was just a little, little drip, right? Yeah. And so they need the other 4 to really win, right? Because the counseling just did okay for them. It wasn't huge for them. Yeah. So everybody's different with these 5 steps. So, so that was, we just talked about counseling. Next one, we just talked about forgiveness. So next one is counseling. We've been talking about counseling, right? The importance of therapy. I went to therapy after my mom died. I was in my 28th year. She passed away suddenly from the flu, very similar symptoms like COVID. But this was back in back in 2014, and I was 46 at the time. And my biological father died before I was born, 2 weeks before I was born. So I'm driving to work one day. Oh, and by the way, my mother-in-law was passing away. She was living with us in Biloxi. We moved her in, and she was passing away from stage 4 lung cancer. So my wife was busy worried about her mom, and my mom died suddenly. So I can't really go to my wife and get support because she's worried about her own mom. Yeah. Right. So I'm trying to be strong and holding it all in, and it didn't go well. So I'm driving to work one day, and I was just like, man, my dad died before I was born. My mom died. I'm an orphan. I'm 46 years old calling myself an orphan. And I said, why am I living? I said, whoa. Okay, this is bad, because remember early on I told you I sent people to counseling. Sure. So now I understand. I'm like, okay, I need to go now, right? Because I recognized I was not the strongest person that I needed to be for the 5,000 students that I was managing, the 7 staff members I was managing. But as a husband, as a father, and as a grandfather, I was not the strong person that they needed. Right. So I needed to go ahead and go to counseling to regain that strength. Yeah. So I did that. I felt like during that time that I was literally I was stripped naked emotionally. Sure. And so I had to be built back up. So the counseling was my spigot that started it. Right. Then my spirituality, I used to listen to Joel Osteen and T.D. Jakes, Bishop T.D. Jakes. I would listen to 5 or 6 sermons a day on XM radio. And I'm just listening, and Joel Osteen, oh, it's gonna be okay. Oh, I know sometimes you just want to get people back. You gotta forgive them, and I just kept hearing that kind of stuff all day.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but
it was really effective for me to get my spiritual life together. Then I started volunteering at the juvenile detention centers. I said, well, if I'm struggling at 46, losing my mom, what's a 10-year-old who lost his dad? Mm-hmm. What is he struggling with, right? And now he's 13 and nobody wants to talk about his dad, but he does. Yeah. So he just keeps punching people in the face left and right? Getting in trouble, making bad choices, because it's about the choices. So let me go into the juvenile detention centers and speak to these young men and help them. So now that helped me with purpose, right? Yeah. And so that would be my next one is purpose. Purpose has nothing to do with you and everything to do with why is someone else's life better because you lived.
Amen.
And so for me, that was working with the young men. I'm thinking, okay, the military saved me, man, from making a whole bunch of poor choices. But I know a lot of these young men will never either want to go in the military or never make it in. So that's 99% of the population. Yeah. So what do I have for them? How can I help them? Whether it's in juvenile detention centers, whether it's in summer youth programs, whether it's in, on a youth football team, I want to go in and speak and help these young people. So that's where I found my purpose at. Whether people can get that by, I always tell young people, I said, can you read? Yeah. Well, there's an 8-year-old who can't. In your neighborhood, go back to your old high or your old elementary school and volunteer to tutor that 8-year-old and teach him how to read. Right. You 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, you have something that these 8-year-olds need. Yeah. Can you play football? Yes, sir. And you're 16. Well, there's a 10-year-old who wants to be able to play like you. Mm-hmm. Take him out every Saturday morning, get some cones and teach him how to run some routes and catch some balls. This is purpose. Whether you're going into a senior living facility and working, youth activities. Working with senior activities with them, feeding the homeless, things of that nature. We definitely want to find purpose in our life. And then the last one is journaling or art. Yeah. Right. Pressure make a pipe burst, and if we keep all this stuff in, eventually it's going to come out. Yep. Hopefully, it won't come out, and then the police is called. Yeah. Right, it may come out on our children, may come out on our spouses, may come out on the streets when someone disrespects us. Mm-hmm. Now that pressure comes out, and now you're arrested because someone has, been harmed by your outburst in some way physically, and so. We want to start journaling, taking that stuff, all that stuff that's in our heart, all that pain, and we want to get it out, and we want to write it out. I always like to tell people to tell your story. Mm-hmm. And so let me try that with you. What I would normally do. So I know you've done a lot of work on yourself. Mm-hmm. What emotion did you struggle with the most? Anger, sadness, fear? Sadness. When was the very first time you were sad?
As a child.
Give me an age.
3.
3, okay. And why were you sad at 3?
My father left my mother in a bad way.
Okay, so father left your mother in a bad way. So I would tell you to start journaling from the age of 3.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Start there. Mm-hmm. Now, the story when you end it, it's going to end so let's say you're still a work in progress. Yeah. So now I would say I want you to close your eyes and think of your life 10 years from today. Mm-hmm. Nothing is missing in that life. Nothing is broken in that life. Everything is perfect. I want you to craft what that looks like in your mind. The house you live in, the cars you drive, the spouse you have, the children you have. If you have a spouse already, don't change it.
If part of your story can't be a new spouse.
Right. So I want you, what kind of awards, what is your education level? What have you accomplished during that time? You get to think of and dream this as big as you want it to be because it's your life. Mm-hmm. I say now rewind and start to moving your life into that direction, and then start writing your book. Finishing your book into that same direction of being whole and complete, whether you want to be whole and complete spiritually with your family, because you can. A lot of people won't write a book because they're like, well, I'm still a work in progress.
Sure.
Right. What
you have
am
to
I going
know
to say?
what you want to look like before you can even proceed.
Right. But even with that, you can still work. So your book can be, when you're 3 years old, your book can start with spirituality and how you didn't have any, let's say 3, 4, 5, 8, 12 years old, right? Didn't have it, but now you do.
Yeah.
So that was the journey, was your spirituality. Let's say you didn't have family then. And now you do. Are you showing how a great father you are to your children, the relationship?
Yeah.
So it can start off with family and then family. Start with spirituality and then spirituality. We can talk about the faith, family, finance, and fitness, right?
Yep.
So any of those areas, right? Your finances, right? Oh, I grew up poor. Now I'm rich, right?
Yeah.
So you can start it with that, end it with that, and then whatever in the middle, you just kind of fill it all in. So I encourage my clients to do that, to tell their story, and of course, end it with victory.
Now, so I study a lot on, take a lot of classes and continuing education on trauma and counseling, and I hear so much in what you just told me that is like amazing. Now, how did you come up with that? Do you like, I don't even know if you know some of the like major things you do in that little scenario. Did you just figure out, like, through your time in the military, sitting in front of however many men over all those years, this is what I see? Or is there, like, do you understand, like, under some of those steps, there's, like, teaching a person how to regulate properly as opposed to being dysregulated and, the scientific side of it all? Or did you just hit the nail on the head because you just observe?
So good question. So it's yes to all of that, right? I did some research, a lot of research on it. So as I get a thought, I start to research that thought, see where it's written at, right? Who's done studies on it. And then I try it out with other people. I start asking them questions and so on and so forth. And then based on their past, I say, well, listen, I don't want to be right about this. But did this happen to you? And they go, yeah, it did. And I go, okay, check.
Yeah.
It's what I thought it was, right?
Right.
So
it's exactly what I thought it was.
Exactly what I thought it was. For instance, I had a young lady, and I know this is a subject area that is very, very touchy area. But we were on a call, a Thursday morning call, and a Zoom call, and a community Zoom call. You know about the call. It's still going on 76 weeks later. And so that community Zoom call, after the call, the young lady was on there, and one of the pastors says, he called her sister. And she said, well, I don't really go by sister. I identify with, you can call me fam or family, but I don't identify with sister. I identify with these pronouns and so on. So it was new for us, for the people who remained back. And again, many were pastors and so on and so forth. And so, and I'm gonna fast forward that story and go back. Fast forward, we brought on some diversity and inclusion speakers within the next few weeks, 3 times, to teach everyone about those pronouns and the LGBTQIA community.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, all of that, right? So we brought them in. But I asked her, because first thing I'm thinking about is trauma. Now, again, I don't want to be correct on anything, but, as she was speaking and, she was telling how she identifies with certain things and so on and so forth. And, and I'm listening. And, I recognize patterns, and I'm going, I say, excuse me. And I do not mean to offend you in any way, but I want to ask you a question. I said, were you ever molested as a child? And she said, yes, but that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I said, okay, I just wanted to, say, yes, it happened. And then she went in and explained it and talked about it, her trauma. And then when we got off the phone, the guys were like, Rod, how do you do that? How do you know? I said, I see patterns. Yeah. Right? I see patterns. And I was watching a movie once when they had a guy who did not believe in Christ, and he was trying to figure out this Christ exists, right? And he was going through, and the lady said, "Tell me about your relationship with your biological father."
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, he was not there, or he died, or something like that." And she said, "Yeah, that's normally the case when someone can't believe in the Father.
Sure,
they couldn't believe in their own father."
Yeah.
I thought that was so things like that that sticks with me, right? And then I take that and I said, well, let me test that, right? And then I started to test to see if those kind of things are true.
Yeah, because the whole process. So I don't know if you had a chance. It just came out a couple months ago, but Oprah Winfrey and Bruce Perry just had a book come out. It's called "What Happened to You," and Bruce Perry is the preeminent trauma specialist in the world. He is the original guy that, understood childhood trauma back in the late 70s, early 80s. He's the guy that's been called in. Put it this way, when Waco happened, he was the one who went in and talked to the surviving children and interviewed them and spent 2 years rehabilitating them. That type of a guy, right?
Wow.
So and I did not know this, but Oprah Winfrey has been, and this is so weird, I had to actually repent because I judged Oprah Winfrey unknowingly, and she's actually been a huge supporter of getting trauma knowledge out to the world since the 80s, and I did not know this in my own ignorance. And so they just had a book come out, and it explains trauma through and through, as good as any of the 90 books I've read on trauma, and it really explains so much of like what you're talking about, the girl that grows up wanting to go by different pronouns, having been molested. 90% of the time, that's the case. Not always,
right? Not always,
but a large percentage of the time. Not to, offend anybody that may be listening, but there's certain things that are definitely like truisms when it comes to a behavior in adults. Anyways, if you get a chance, What Happened to You is an amazing book. But the whole point behind the title is, instead of saying, what's wrong with you?
What is wrong with you?
And I can't tell you how many times I've heard that about myself, and how many times I've looked in a mirror and said, what the hell is wrong with you? Why would you fill in the blank after I've screwed something up? Time and time again. And to finally understand, no, it's what happened to me. Now, some people may think that's a way that people just get off of the wrongs they've done, and no, it doesn't. It's not an excuse for bad behavior, but it is an answer.
Yes.
And it is an answer.
I agree.
And I think as a society, that is where we need to be moving towards. It's not trying to let people off of their mistakes. It's trying to, help people understand their mistakes on a deeper level. And if we all can understand, if I can understand why you do what you do, there's a better chance I could be empathetic of that.
Exactly.
And so I love just your steps and the way that you do it. And I'm sitting here as you're telling your way of doing things and thinking, I like right when you started with the devil and the angel, it's like, which one are you feeding? And when in crisis mode, whoever you're feeding, that's going to come out. I'll tell my men, I'll say, listen, if you're not in prayer with God, if you don't have a relationship with God, because we are a faith-based organization. So I'm like, if you don't have that constant dialogue with God, when it comes time to screw up and you need his help, you're not going to go to God. You're basically going to go to yourself, which is the devil in that case. So it's like, that's how I'll use the scenario on which one what are you doing? If you're spending all your time with bad music, bad movies, and thoughts that are not about God, when time comes to relapse, you're not going to go to God. Exactly. Just because you're part of our organization, that's not enough. So I was thinking about that. And then when you said the 30 open doors, I've done a freedom seminar where it's about trying to help people have freedom from, sin, from whatever. And I'll always have them close their eyes and picture a long hallway. And at the end of that hallway, there's a door, but that door has a glow around it. And that door, behind that door, is Jesus, the Father, Holy Spirit that loves you. But along that hallway, there's a bunch of doors that are cracked open. Some are just a little bit, but some are all the way wide open. But these doors are the things that hold you back. And as you're trying to walk to that door at the end of the hall, the things that are in these other open doors are reaching out and grabbing you. And sometimes it just slows you down, but other times it pulls you into that dark room and closes the door behind. Wow. And you're stuck there. So we need to go through this process of closing those doors. Wow. So it's like, I'm like, you're sitting there talking, I'm like, oh, yeah, this is good. This is good.
Yeah. So we've been blessed with that, right? We all have a talent. Interesting enough, when I was a young man, I did not know I had a talent, right? So many times when we think talents, we think of singing, dancing, playing sports, really good and things of that nature. Oh, he's so talented. Look at how he catches the football. He said, did you hear her sing? She's so talented. No one ever says, did you see how many people are following him? He's so talented. Right. He's an influencer.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they say it nowadays.
They do now, right? But do they tell kids?
Right.
They talk about the adults. So there are kids that don't have those talents, but people follow them. So now you have to teach that teenager that you have a talent, and God is waiting for you to use your talent for Him and not to get girls in bed.
Yep. Because I've made the mistakes both ways. So
we all have, right? Like, oh man, I'm the smoothest dude on the streets, man. I can pull them left and right.
As Jay-Z would say, a blessing is a curse. I love to quote the immortal Jay-Z. It is. It's you're a leader. You're an influencer. Don't use it for cursing other people, because that is what you're doing.
Exactly.
And it's funny that you use when people say she's so talented or he's so talented because of his skill. Ironically, the devil likes to use that against people as well, because I learned this is when I really first fell into a bad way of living. I was a very talented football player, and I thought my life was going to be that. And as soon as I got into college, my first year, I blew my knee out. And I never rebounded from that until I got saved, I guess 20 years later, whatever, after my addiction from the pain pills, kicked in. But then just the lack of identity outside of the skill I had really, who was I, right? And so a person can you see young kids with skills and their parents like putting them out there, but unfortunately it's like that's beautiful, but it's one aspect of them as a human being, and you're teaching them that's their totality.
That's it, exactly.
And what if my father was not a good father, and he did give me this one piece of advice that it doesn't sound as bad as how he did it in the first place. It was true, but do you really say this to a kid who just blew his knee out? He said, son, I don't care how good you think you are at football, there's always going to be somebody better. Learn that and learn how to live with it. Now, he was true, but when, he's hammered drunk and saying that to me because he didn't show up at any of my games or whatever, it wasn't a very comforting aspect.
Right.
But the truth is there's always somebody better, so don't let that be you. He could have said that in a much nicer way.
Right.
But the reality is if we make our whole life, or let our children make their whole life about, that one aspect. My son is in college playing football right now, and just this summer we took a long drive together, and I was trying to explain to him, I'm like, man, I just want you to be happy, have fun. It will end, one day. It always does. And just remember, that is not who you are. It is what you do. Who you are.
But Tom Brady, though, Dad.
But he's just, Tom Brady. So there is no answer for that, other than life is unfair to a large percentage of us.
But Tom Brady is that unicorn, right?
He is that unicorn that we all want to chase. When you're, 5'7", you just don't even, that's just not going to be me. I got to make the most out of what I have, which isn't much.
Yes.
So tell me, we're getting close to wrapping up. I want to hear what you're doing currently in your new business model. How is it different than like the books? And how can people, really find you and hire you and bring you out to help them be better?
Well, recently I filled an order for 1,000 books going to King High School here in Tampa Bay, Hillsborough County Schools, which is the 8th largest school district in the country.
I did not know that.
Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, you talk to a school employee, they'll let you know within the first 30 seconds of the conversation. Well, we're the 8th largest school district in the country. So, Miami, I think, is probably in that top 4 or something like that. But so I'm rebuilding, getting ready for the schools to refocus on mental health.
That's good.
After they stop focusing on the COVID, because right now, I mean, Hillsborough is just swamped with COVID. I mean, this is probably one of the worst in the country for COVID. I have 2 grandchildren with COVID right now, so that's positive for COVID right now. So so right now for me, I'm gearing up a campaign through social media, through email, to get the attention of all of the high school principal and middle school principals in the state. I always like to start locally or in the state, and then we'll expand from there, where we're going to offer the books and for me to come in and do a speech. And it's a package. So the books, for me to come in and do the speech, and then for me to train their student ambassadors to be emotional wellness teams.
Wow.
Right? Because right now, there was just an article in the New York Times that talked about how there's not enough counselors for all of the people who need help today.
There's not.
So what are we going to do? We have to be our brother's keeper, right?
Yeah.
So now we have to train the students to recognize when a person is in distress.
Right.
And so you walk by, how many times will a little kid be, not a little kid, but, someone between 13 and 25, they're in a school or a college, and they're sitting on the bench crying.
Right.
And between classes, everybody just walks past.
Yeah.
And go, oh, what's wrong with her?
Right.
What's wrong with him? Right? But a person who's an ambassador, who's wearing a bright colored lanyard,
right,
everybody know that that's the person to go to if you're in emotional distress.
Wow.
Oh, well, let me take you over to Rod. He's our student ambassador. He's on the wellness team.
Wow.
Right? He's going to be able to help you. What happened? Oh, yeah, my mommy got arrested last night, and we're living with our grandma now, and my dad hasn't made it back from, whatever, military, or he's overseas, or whatever the case, right?
Sure.
And now she's in distress. So there's some steps that they can do to help bring her stress down very quickly. And so we want to teach that to these students. So that's the other part of the package that we want to do. So 3 things. We want to get the books in their hands. You want to do some training of staff as well as the students, and then train those ambassadors. So I'm working on that campaign right now for the school districts all around the state.
So will you go and speak at all the different schools?
So, Zoom is great.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's that too.
Right. So I can either go and do it a Zoom live. I can record it and give them access to it, or I can go in person. So they would have to take care of my travel expenses to do that. But it would be all in that package, deal kind of thing. So that's what I'm currently working on.
You know what's so beautiful about that, and you probably realize this already, but just for anybody watching, trauma is this huge, terrifying thing when it comes to what do I do about another person's trauma, right? It's like I'm not a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a counselor. I'm not a pastor. I don't know what to do if somebody's had trauma. And as bad as trauma is, it's actually very, very easy to diffuse. If a person who goes through trauma, even severe trauma, as long as they have another person to share it with, that hears them, that is with them, that is present, doesn't have to give them advice, doesn't have to fix everything, but just one human being to another human being, I am with you, I hear you, I'm not going anywhere, can drastically change the future impact of a person's trauma.
So along those lines, that's why these young men who go through so much trauma, and they have a girlfriend. And and they lay it all on her, and she stays. And she listens. And because of his trauma, he goes and screws up, sleeps with another girl.
Yeah.
Right? Now this girl finds out, everybody's going, dude, you're stupid. You needed her. She was everything to you.
Yeah.
And now she walks away. Now he's suicidal. Not suicidal because she walked away. She's suicidal because of the trauma in the first place, right? Daddy leaving or passing away, grief or what have you. But now the person, your most trusted confidant, who loved you just like you are.
You have no idea how close to home that's hitting right now.
And she walks away.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're back in the mirror. What is wrong with me?
Yep.
And now you're suicidal.
And it's not even her.
It's not even her.
Man, transference.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And that's why I'm so, I want to teach this to everybody, especially young people, especially that 13-year-old. Why do you start at 13? Because when you're 10 and your dad is gone, you're sad. At 13, you're angry.
Yeah.
So that's why I need to get, because now you're making these decisions, these angry decisions. Before it was just like, oh, I'm going to go play video games and kind of check out a little bit, But when you get 13 now, you're deciding if I'm going to check out a lot or if I'm going to start punching my way out of it.
Yeah. And just so people know, you know what you're talking about. You have kids. How many children do you have?
3 children and 10 grandchildren.
10?
10.
Yeah, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but Rod is he looks like he's 30. So
I color my gray, man.
Okay, that's the secret's out now. Secret's out. But that many grandchildren. How old are the ones that are COVID positive?
They are 12 and 14.
Wow.
Yeah. They're right here in Hillsborough County. So
it's running rampant, man.
It is.
How can people get the book?
So in order to get the book, you can go to my website. It's www.chooseclimb.com. Choose, CHOOSE, climb, CLIMB.com.
Yeah, and we'll put a little link to that when we put the video out.
And the other thing, too, is that if you have a teenager that you're concerned about, and I only coach boys and men, okay? Or we could just say boys.
We're all boys.
Yeah, we're all boys. Right? I say 13 to 83. Any men who boys or men who are making poor choices, I can coach them faith, family, finances, and fitness to make much stronger choices. And so if you're that mom or that dad that are concerned about your son, give me a call when we can talk. You can go to my website. All of my material is there. My phone number is there. All of my, like I say, my material as far as my one sheet, my little information on me, all of that is on the site. I would love to coach your son. I'm coaching some people, I'm coaching their sons that's in our circle, coaching their son because the son is making poor decisions, poor choices, and now they're doing great. That's awesome. It's really wonderful to see within 2 months, a month or 2 months, just how much they've changed, and it's really pretty awesome. So, and men. So, my men clients, some of them are trying to get their wives back, right?
I'll send some people to you.
And so I'm coaching them as well. And for my men clients, I also help them write their first book.
Wow.
That's part of the coaching, right? Help them write their first book. I'll even help them take a portion of my book and we co-author a book. So basically I'll tell them, I said, okay, go through my books, find the chapters that works for you, write your own chapter or two. Let's say you want to write a chapter on entrepreneurship boot camp for youth, right? Add what you want out of this. We can co-author a book. I'll publish it. That's awesome. When you need copies of it, I'll charge you a certain amount and you sell them for whatever you want to sell them for.
How do you do it? You have somebody you use for a publisher or?
I do everything Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just do publishing self-publish through Amazon.
Oh, self-publish. That's
what I was saying. Yeah, because I can do, if someone liked my books and go, well, I just need to tweak this, I charge them a certain amount, tweak it, republish it, new book, new cover, and send it right on out. So I've gotten pretty
handy at that, huh? It's like you gotta adapt to survive.
Yes.
This man has adapted. Yeah, that's
so if
amazing.
a school district was ordering 1,000 books, like the books I did for King High School, it has their logo on it. It has King High School's logo.
Gotcha.
On the cover. Wow. So when you're ordering 1,000 books, I can customize that for your school district.
At 1,000, I hope so. Because you need to be able to do that at 1,000, right?
And so when you open the book cover, you'll see the superintendent of schools, you'll see the school board members, you'll see the principal and their messages on mental health for the youth, all of that in their book.
That's amazing.
So I can do all of that.
Wow. So there you have it. I don't think there's anything left that he can't do. So, and I'm sure if you have something you want him to do, he'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. That's what the military teaches us. Failure is not an option.
There you
go.
Well, I don't know. Afghanistan right now.
Oh,
remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
It's kind of...
Yeah.
Where's the plan?
Where's the plan?
Man, Rod, it's been great getting together.
Yes, sir.
I think there's been some amazing stuff shared. Now this video will come out next month, which tomorrow will be National Recovery Month. So we will be putting it in there since everything we talked about today was recovery based. Today is actually, as we're shooting this interview, the 31st, which is International Overdose Awareness Day. And so many people that could have used your material no longer with us because of drug overdose. And, I think we need more people like you out there trying to make a difference, because I think when it comes to recovery, for far too long, if it was addiction, people said there's a 12-step group. If it's mental health, people said we don't want to hear about it. But I think that,
it's time to bring
it all together.
Yeah, it's time to bring them together.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, in my listening tour with the DEA from people in recovery, that was hard hitting for me. It was, I went to 5 different programs, but the last program taught me why. They took me to the root. And this gentleman said, I was molested at 7.
Yeah.
No other program, the other 4 programs never talked about that.
Yeah.
The 5th program talked about the molestation. Now I understand the root. Now I've never been back.
I mean, let me just say this. I've been in recovery business I've been sober 15 years, but I've been in the recovery business for the last 13 of those years. And, the Timothy Initiative, which I founded, is 11 years old. I, stepped away and somebody else was running it as I started the Sober Truth Project, but I've since had to step back in and take it back over. And I've learned so much over the last years that what I taught the first 5 or 6 years is not what I teach now. Because so many recovery programs are still stuck in that old, just 12 steps, learn how not to make bad decisions, whatever, yada, yada. But the truth is, if we don't figure out why you started to use in the beginning, then that's all just behavior modification, and one day that won't be enough. And so more and more people are starting to realize we need to figure out what the root cause of the problem is. And I'm one of those people. It took me years to finally get here. I'm here, I've arrived, but more people need to arrive as well.
And so that's what we have to start teaching, is get the message out. What's the root cause? And the one last thing is, suicide is not a one-off event. Right? That's the bucket is full. Right? So this event and that event and that event and that event, now I'm suicidal. So if we don't put the spigots in there, those 5 steps, right, and start bringing it out, the next day when you get offended again, you're just now overflowing. And so if your mate walks out on you, now you're, suicidal and things of that nature. So just understand that when someone tells you, I cannot take another thing, listen to them.
Listen to them. Yeah, disturbing fact is that the majority, like a very high percentage of suicides were decided that moment, within that hour. They're not long and planned out. It's exactly what you're saying. My life is unbearable. I'm going to end it. And that can be terrifying from the aspect of how can I help somebody that it's just going to be like a decision made that moment. Well, you help them by helping people's life not become so unmanageable in the first place.
Exactly.
Seeing what's happened, being aware of what's around you, and also taking care of yourself. Is your life unmanageable? Because you need the spigots. There needs to be a way that you can relieve the tension, the pressure, the overflow of it all, or one day you'll think the unthinkable.
Exactly.
Rod, it's been great, man. I hope everybody here enjoyed it. Thanks
Thank you.
for coming.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone.